Good evening, everyone, and welcome, welcome. Come on in the room, come on in the room. We are looking for a wonderful, wonderful time. We're just asking that you all just come in, relax, and take in what we have forthcoming for you today. We are planning another great session of Sister to Sister, straight up real talk. I am your co-host, Veronica Hardy, along with beautiful sister, Jacqueline Hardy. Jacqueline Whitaker. Jacqueline Hardy. I'm calling you Jack, but did you hear me? I called you Jacqueline Hardy.
You called me Jacqueline Hardy.
All right. I called you Jacqueline Hardy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good now. You know, earlier in the week, I was feeling a little bit on the downside because I was a little, the weather,
Right.
the weather change and everything.
Right.
But my voice is a little crackly, but it's starting to come back.
Yeah, you sound
so. With all of that being said, you are Hardy too.
Okay. Hey, no problem. It's all family.
So, anyways, so I do have I have a little bit of a halls in my throat as well because I just want to make sure I'm trying to clear up this whatever it is that's going around. There's so many different things, viruses and flu bugs, colds, whatever.
Oh yeah.
But I'm just trying to make sure that whatever is kicking in with me, that I can kick it out.
That's right.
Because I'm already sick.
That's right. Yeah, it takes time.
It
takes time.
It does take time.
Yeah.
But so with that being said, I was just saying to everybody, I'm so glad that they could all be here with us. We want them to just come on in the room, relax, enjoy what we have forthcoming, because we have another wonderful session awaiting for them. And so we're just ready to get started.
Yes.
We just ask you all once again to whatever comments that you have, please note it. Put it at the bottom of the screen. Make sure that you include wherever you're located, because we want to know where you're coming from. And we also want to make sure that whatever requests that you guys would like for us to do, as far as topics, we would be more than willing to do it. So just put it in your comments. And if it's somebody that you would like for us to reach out to, and if you have contacts with that person, we'd be more than willing to do that as well. We just need your assistance if that's what you'd like for us to do. Other than that, again, Jackie and I, we always, pray on whatever the topics are. God brings it to us. We sit down, we have discussions, and then we take it and we go forward with that.
That's
and
right.
Don't forget to hit the share, because as I've said to you guys many times before, as you are hearing this information, you may have contacts that are not able to get it. So pass it to someone, because as we're being blessed with the space that we're in through the glory of God, we want to pass it along to you guys and allow this to be a blessing for you as well.
Right. That's right.
Yes. So we're going to get started. And our buzz talk for today is the U.S. Education Department. There's been a lot of conversation about our U.S. Education Department.
Yes.
So with that being said, this is a great segue for me just to say the government has called for an executive signed order for dismantling our U.S. Education Department. True enough now, that Congress will need to vote on that to complete it. But the goal for them is to guide this through the states.
Yes.
So it will be state to state. It will be your state taking over for the U.S. Education Department.
That's right.
And in saying that, we have to realize that every state is not on the same level. They're just not. So we have to make sure when we're doing something of this sort, the way that they're trying to guide it, the government anyway, is that are we adequately going to be adequately have adequate amount of funding for that?
Right, right.
You know, so that's something that I don't even know if they thought about it.
Yeah,
Or did
yeah.
they even care about it? But I know the goal from what they're saying is to have it from state to state.
Right.
So again, that means your state would take care of the U.S. Education Department. And in saying that also, that's going to be very, very impactful to the entire education department.
That's
We
right.
have
That's
to look
right.
at our Head Start programs for low-income children. We have to look at children with disability programs.
That's right. Right.
Breakfast, the lunch programs,
Mhm.
extracurriculum programs, overcrowded classrooms. That all of this will be impacted. All of it.
Right. That's
There'll
right.
be many teachers that may lose their jobs.
That's
We have
right.
paraprofessional teachers. Those are teachers that are with students on one-on-one basis. Students that have challenges, special needs, and
That's right.
disability students. All of these things has to be taken in account for. What do you
Yes.
think, Jackie?
Yes. Well, you know, basically the mission of the United States Department of Education was really to promote student achievement and preparation for global competitiveness by fostering educational excellence and ensuring equal access to it. And the government hasn't really decided yet because, as you said, even though our president can, with a stroke of a pen, you know, dismantle the U.S. Department of Education. He hasn't done that yet. It still has to go through Congress.
Right.
But the purpose of it was to produce educational excellence and ensure equal access across the United States of America. And with the funding of that, it was extremely important. You know, they sent funding through to the different organizations in the United States, to state educational agencies where the money goes. And then from there, the money is advocated to local educational agency like school districts. And then that's how we get certain educational plans set up, such as taking care of the disabled children, such as providing breakfast for low-income children when they arrive to school. Right. There's so many people throughout the country that can't even afford to feed their children in the morning time, to send them off to school. And we know it's essential that a child has a full stomach when they go to school. How can you learn when you're hungry? So this was set up that way. And through learning, children become more productive in society. They're able to have better jobs. We can then compete with other countries. But if this happens and we're unable to do that, then where will we be? We're already behind since the COVID. Since the COVID, it has said, you know, they've done studies that children now are behind in math. Many of them are behind in reading because the COVID sort of locked us down. Even though some education was provided to the children virtually, many kids didn't even have computers. Because families could not provide it. In this country of 2020 and 2021, we couldn't even provide computers for the children. Every child should have had computers in our educational system, just like China and Japan. Right. You know, they make sure that their kids have what is needed. These educational funds that are given out to the organization and then distribute to the school systems is important. But I just want to read to you because I want people to understand what the mission of the United States Department of Education was set up for. It was to strengthen the federal commitment to assuring access to equal education opportunity for every individual.
Right.
It was to supplement and complement the efforts of states, the local school systems, and other instrumentalities of the states, the private sectors, public and private nonprofit educational research institutions, community-based organizations, parents, and students to improve the quality of education. That's important. It was to encourage the increased involvement of the public, parents, and students in federal educational programs. It was to promote improvement in the quality and usefulness of education through federally supported research, evaluation, and sharing of information. That's important. Research is important.
Yes.
You can't improve our educational system and improve our children to compete within society with other countries if we don't do some type of research to see where they're at.
That's right.
So that money is important to go there. It was to improve the coordination of federal educational programs. It was to improve the management of federal educational activities, sports activities, all of that, and increase the accountability of federal education program to the president, to Congress, and to the public. It was an open mission of the United States Department of Education to make sure that all of this got done. And this goes back from Eisenhower's time when this was put into place. And it has grown, of course, throughout the years. But it's important. If we define that, just like you said, what happens to the handicapped kids?
What happens to them? That is so right. With that being said, students with disabilities could lose critical resources and protections. This kind of change would have a drastic as well as immediate impact on the students with these disabilities.
Yes.
And that, to me, would be very, very sad.
Yes.
Very sad for something like this to just turn around and happen to us when we've been having these things all throughout. Because if you can remember back in the day, we would have students in our classes that had challenges.
Yes.
They would be combined in with everybody.
Remember that? Yes.
I remember that.
Yes.
And they were just there. And half of those children, I would just probably imagine in their minds, they're just going along with the flow, you know, just being there. It was never anything set off to the side for them until these programs came about.
That's right.
And now for this to be pulled out because the federal government decides that they no longer want to fund this, this is awful for the states to have to take on such a large budget. Because as we look at our school budgets every year, we're already having difficulties in trying to get teachers within the budget. Now, how in the world are we going to be able to fund all these extra things that we have to pull in? You're not going to be able to do it because what they're going to end up doing is they're going to have to take it from other places. They're going to have to allocate it from other areas within your state. And when that happens, somewhere, somebody is going to lack. And that's going to end up being the school system.
Yeah, that's true. Because even if the money from the government, and I'm sure they won't send us all the money that taxpayers have paid and that we've been getting all the time for Department of Education, even if they send the money to various states, some states are not as rich as others.
Exactly.
They are not. And some of them will take, some of them, I can foresee them taking some of that educational money and spreading it out to other areas because they need it so badly. So what will happen is the educational money that is sent to them by the government will not be used the way the Department of Education expected to be used, or it was used at the time that the educational department was, set up to be, because they need it in so many areas. But there are other states that are very rich, and they can provide that, and they can take that money and continue to do as they've been doing, to provide the activities, curricular activities. They can provide for the mental health. They can make sure that their children in their educational system have breakfast. They can have an after school program. But there are many schools, many states throughout this country, out west, some down south. They are very, very poor, and they are struggling.
Yes.
They are totally struggling. And even though some of that money may go there, it may not be advocated the way it has been all the time, because they need money for so many areas in their school system even now. So they're going to put it where they want to put it. And so unless there's some guidelines for the state, each state will do as they choose. And that will be sad for the people that have been in these programs that actually need it. The programs that the Department of Education has been distributing the money to is called Title I. And under Title I, there's academic support for tutoring, intervention sources such as reading and math, and educational instructions. They even give help for teachers to go back to school and specializes in certain things. As you said, when we came along when we were younger, we didn't have the different teachers that were actually trained to take care of children that were disabled, that were having a lot of challenges learning and things like that. But as the years went by and this sort of, and the Department of Education was set up, teachers were actually trained to take care and teach these children. And they were taken from our classrooms, and put in an area where they could learn effectively. And they had teachers that were able to help them learn. But the teachers were there because they got grants and money to actually go back to school to learn how to help these children. And if it's defunded, what's going to happen? We're going to have less teachers, and who for children that are challenged, will they be put back into the classrooms?
And
with children that are academically
in a
more
lot of the
advanced?
states, I'm not certain how all the school systems are, but I know a lot of the states, the way they do it, especially when it comes, excuse me, to the paraprofessionals, they're actually in the classroom with the other students as well, but they have their one-on-one person that they're working with. The paraprofessional will work with the one-on-one student. So they're helping them, and they're still they're getting the socialization of being involved with everybody, but they're still being helped along the way with this paraprofessional. And I think that's a wonderful thing. But if they cut the budget, we won't be able to support that paraprofession, and that will be cut back on their part. So yes, I think that is terrible. And also we got to look at the school system in itself. From what Governor Tim Walz had said, he said gutting the Department of U.S. Education will impact the school buses to the school internet systems. And that is spot on, because we're not going to be able to pay for drivers for busing. And there's so many children now that depend on the buses, the school buses, to get to school. It's not like in our day. Excuse me. In our day, we walked miles to get to school. These children don't do that now. They have that. It's a ton of school buses at the schools. But if they are defunded, what's going to happen? They're going to have to cut back somewhere. And believe me, that will be an impact on the school system.
That's right.
As well.
That's
why I said they're going to have overcrowded classrooms, because they're going to have to try and, put as many children as they can in one class. The teacher is going to be overstressed because she's going to have probably almost double the amount that she's accustomed to having.
That's right.
You know, and then they're just not going to have enough for the internet systems. And the thing with that is that nowadays, this is how these children, this is what they work off, the internet now. You don't see them using pen and pencil too much anymore. That was in our times. They're using computers. But if they don't have funding for it, what happens? The school starts to lack.
That's right.
Education starts to dwindle.
Yeah.
A lot of this is going to be very impactful. Like I said, it's your school system, the education department, excuse me, but it's going to be your entire state.
Yes.
That will take a big pound on. That's right. And people may not realize that because they're thinking maybe, oh, just education, but that encompasses a lot.
Right.
And that's the entire state that you live in.
Yeah.
And like you said, if your state does not have money, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right about some people. I mean, there are some people that feel that dismantling the educational system is a good thing because it allows the state to do what they want to do. And also when you have the Department of Education running things, they expect a lot of paperwork. They expect a lot of documentation because they are giving funds to the school system and to the school district. So some people feel that, that are in that situations, maybe teachers or whatever, that they have too much paperwork to do. But I think in situations like that, you have to look at the pros and cons of things, because even if he's unable, our president is unable to dismantle the Individual with Disabilities Educational Act and move it to another area within Congress, that takes time for them to even understand the process. You can move something that's been in place for many, many years and has been working effectively, and then you move it under another department. It takes a long time for that department to even understand what has happened, what is going on, what is necessary. And so this kind of change can have a drastic and immediate impact on students with disability. Because there isn't too many other federal agencies with the expertise that is needed to oversee special education and ensure the rights of students that fall under this category. So that's going to take, and during this interim, which could take a few years, what happens to the children? Right. They're going to be missing out on a lot. And when you talk about the poor states and even the rich states that have money, that are able to take some of this money and apply it where it needs, those that don't, they may have to increase taxes. They may have to increase our taxes to make sure that they get what they need in the school system. Better teachers. Teachers need to go and have time to learn more skills and knowledge in certain areas, because things change all the time, year after year, and teachers must keep up with that knowledge. Well, under this program that we have, money is sent and it's applied to that, so they can continue to learn, so they can take that what they have learned and apply it in the classroom, so that kids are continuing to learn and keep up with what they need to learn here to run this country one day. We're not always going to be here. So that is extremely, extremely important. So even though some people may feel, well, giving back to the state is a wonderful thing, it's not wonderful to all states, because not all states have the money, and not all states are able to provide what they need. And so they need so many things, as I have mentioned, that they may spread the money out to other areas, as opposed to applying it what it was really meant for.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. And also, when it even comes down to the fact of the extra curriculum programs like sports and things of that sort, um, we have to actually take a look at that, because all the children, you know, they're working hard in school, and they look forward to sports and whatever activity that they would like to participate in. But when that happens, and they're talking about dismantling this and actually coming down to defunding it all,
Mm-hmm.
well, what happens at the point of, say, hockey, for instance, or soccer, or whatever sport that you may choose? Does this now make it an obligation for the parents?
Yeah.
Because of the fact that even though it's state to state, and our state, or whatever state you may be in, you may not have the adequate amount of funding.
Yes.
So now what happens? Does the obligation go toward the parent? Are you obligated to take care of what's necessary for your child to participate in that particular sport? Maybe the parent doesn't have the money.
It's
You
true.
see? So that's what I'm saying. It's going from one extreme to another.
Yes. Yes.
And these
That's true.
are things that really need to be looked at.
That is true. That
Yeah,
is true.
because
Because low,
it will impact a lot.
yeah,
It really will. And as a parent, you want your child to be able to attend, you know, and be involved in those extracurricular. Because if they decide, if they're in high school and they decide that they want to attend college, they want a well-rounded student.
yeah,
And then you can be very smart academically, but if you're not well-rounded, they will choose another child over your child. So these are all of the things that needs to be looked at.
yes, yes, and that is true. Because low income students will definitely be affected tremendously,
Yes.
and family engagement, there won't be any of that,
Right.
because there won't be any money for that, and mental health programs.
Yes.
Mental
Sure.
health programs within the school system is tremendously needed.
Mm-hmm.
And the money, it was also set aside for that.
Mm-hmm.
And within the educational system. And then you're talking about children who come to this country or in this country and they don't speak English, or their parents don't speak English. Money was set, the educational money was sent for that too, to help children learn to speak English. They had bilingual classes set up in the evening time. They have after school programs.
Right.
They have, sometimes, unfortunately, young girls get pregnant sometimes in high school,
Yes.
and they can't finish in high school. They have to go to night classes.
Yeah.
Well, who do you think provides for that? It was
Right.
it was the Department of Education.
That's
Department
right.
of Education provided money for that so that the school system can set up night programs
Right.
for people who are unable to come to school. And I just cited that as an example. There's so many other examples that prevent people from going to school, regularly.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but there are night classes for that. There are night classes for people who can't speak English, and they go to the school and they set up classrooms for that, where they have to have teachers. Teachers have to get paid.
Yes.
But imagine if this money is advocated and the state take over. You think the state gonna have money to provide extra teachers to run night classes? For
Exactly.
children that were unable to finish school in high school, but they had to come back and get their their high school diploma by attending night classes. That's not going to be available, unfortunately. Maybe in some rich schools they'll continue to have that, but in a lot of schools throughout the country in these poor states, they're not going to be able to have that. That's going to be missing, and that's a sad thing, because they're taking us back, way back to the 60s and the 50s, when we were unable to have a more productive educational society. And is something that I hope that the administration take a look at. Everything, I know they said money, money, and maybe there may be some misuse of the money, but you got to weigh out the overall value of
Right.
what the education department did and what will happen when you send it to the state. It's
Right.
not always good to send it to the state. There's going to be no regulations, even when it comes to discrimination, even when it comes to where are we providing the same type of books that we do, an example in Connecticut, that we're providing in Virginia.
Right.
It should all be the same. And so the educational department makes sure that happens. When a complaint comes, they do an investigation. When the state takes it over, there is no such thing. Who do
There's
you
no
see
such thing.
when
That's
your
right.
child is not being treated right? Who do you see when you have very, very poor books? And they're old books.
Right.
They're not even new books. But yet you can go to another county and they have all the good books over there. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So
Yes.
we have to look at the fact of discrimination racially. We have to look at the fact to make sure that education is the same across the board. When you give it to the states, it's not going to be the same. It will not.
It will not be the same. That's right. And even to the fact, I know I heard you speak about some of the young girls when they get pregnant and they go to school, night school or whatever the process is for them to take. There's also at some of the schools, some of the high schools, they even have daycares there. So now you don't have to be concerned about the fact that you don't have anyone to watch your child, and because they still want you to get your education, so you can bring your child. It's kind of like bring your child to school with you. So
Right.
you bring the child, and then you have them in the daycare, and you still continue on with your education. But something like this, the defunding, is going to impact that as well. So again, like you said, all of these things need to be taken into consideration. And I don't care if it's Republican, if it's Democrat, we need to think off our feet
Yes.
as a whole country, and be in the right state of mind for everybody, and say no, even if you know that government, you're on the side of the government because that's your political party. But if they're not thinking in the right direction, stand up for what's right.
Yes.
Stand up for what's right and vote the right way. So these are things that we just need to take in account for, because again, I can only say my opinion, and that is that when it comes to the state thing, I cannot see that going in a good direction by no means for the states. If we do not have the federal funding from everybody, for all the states to receive that federal funding, your budgets, your state's budgets will diminish drastically.
Yes.
And then what happens?
Yes. Taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I say. Increase in taxes.
One big mess.
Yes. Yeah. And when I'm very concerned, especially when it comes to Department of Education and getting rid of and sending it to the states, because I think that our federal protection, when it comes to our civil rights, could easily could be easily destroyed. There could be a lot of violations here that will either be overlooked or there's nothing you can do about it. Because I can remember when my daughter had to have surgery, and she was going to be out of school for a couple months, and I made sure that the high school knew. I went to the nurse, did everything I was supposed to do, etc. But I knew the law. So then I said I wanted to make sure when the time came that she had all her tutors. Okay, and of course she was taking college courses and things like that. And I remember she was taking microbiology or some kind of college biology course. And so the English teacher came, the Spanish teacher came, the math teacher came. But I'm like, well, wait a minute. Where is the biology teacher? Okay, which was she was taking college biology. So I called the school. Well, they said we couldn't. We really can't find anybody, and it's kind of hard. And I said to them, I really don't care where you get it from. There are 5 colleges around me when I was living in New Jersey, 5 colleges. I said, and you need to go out or call them and get someone to come in here and teach my daughter where she is, because she's going to be a senior next year and everything. And I am a homeowner. I pay my taxes, and according to the law, she's supposed to have these things. So I told the counselor, got off the phone with the counselor, and I called the board of ed. And I said, listen, I got a handicapped child here, which she was, okay, because she had bone surgery, so she couldn't walk, so she was handicapped. So they gave me another number of the Human Rights Department or something like that in regards to education. I called them too. I said, listen, and I've told them, and they said, and the man said to me, miss, and I said, and I have to work, and this, that, and I went off, this, that, and the other was happening and all this kind of stuff. And I shouldn't have to be going through this, and I'm a taxpayer. He said, miss, don't worry about it. He said, I'm going to call the board of ed. He said, we're going to call the school, Mount Clair School System. We're going to make sure we get somebody out there. All her courses, I put it down. Within 2 hours, he called me back. He said, did somebody call you yet? I said, no, they ain't called me. He said, well, they should be calling you before 5 o'clock. He said, if they don't, you take down my number and call me. They called me. Within 2 days, she had every course instructor that she needs. But now, if this was in place or taken away, the Department of Education, she would not have had that. Okay? Yeah. But it's the Department of Education that actually oversees and makes sure that these things are occurring. And because this is what they give funds for. They gave funds to make sure that my daughter had, that Delilah had the teachers coming there. They paid them. And for me as a taxpayer, that's the law. I was supposed to get that for my daughter. They knew ahead of time. And then, like I said to the guy, I don't care where you get it from. All these colleges, got to be somebody around that teaches it. It's a college course. And sure enough, they sent me a college professor who came in and taught her every single day. But this would not have happened if the Department of Education was not involved. Right. They set guidelines for these things to happen. They set up procedures for it to occur. And when it doesn't, they have to research and find out why. And that's a negative against the school system.
Yes, I was just trying to see what, hey Scott, Edney, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you for chiming in. I'm just trying to read what he has here. It says the school, it says the children get the free breakfast offered to them daily. He said, but many children choose not to eat what is on the menu. And that is good that you pointed that out. However, Scott, what we're saying too is that if that is, if the defunding takes place, that would be taken away. It wouldn't even be any free food program, because it would be a state to state. Unless your state, which you live in the same state as I am in, if our state allows that and has enough money to do that, then it would continue. But if the federal government steps away from states that cannot have adequate amount of monies to supply these things, then they wouldn't get the free breakfast, is what we're trying to say.
Yeah, because even there are some children that may not eat it. What about the children that do eat it? They really need it. Yes. It's unfortunate that the other children don't know. I would do a survey as to why they don't know. Well, why they're not eating it, I should say. But I think the fact that there are some that is eating, then you've done your job. You provided it. It's up to them to eat it. And some of the children, 100% of the children may not eat it, but then the other ones did. And so you would have to, pat yourself on the back for that, because it is there. After school programs, many times after school programs is very important, because parents work and they need someone to watch their children.
Right.
while they're at work, and many parents cannot afford babysitters. So after school programs are important. It's important for the children. It helps them with their homework many times. It helps them with activities. It gives them someone to talk to. And it also, believe it or not, keeps a lot of them out of trouble. Especially when they're in junior high school, they have to go somewhere. I know my child went to an after school program, although we paid, but it was a lifesaver for me because I had to work. And I can only imagine a mother who, don't have a program like that, but can't afford to pay. My children went to the YMCA, so I was able to pay because of my income. But there were children there whose income did not meet mine, but the YMCA provided for them. And the school system even provided because the bus would come and pick them at the school system. They would be at a school for an hour and then they would go to the Y. So it was all a community function. But I can only imagine a parent who had to work and could not pick their child up, at a certain time. Where would the child be? Probably out in trouble, because children will follow other children that may not be good for them, and they would get into things that they shouldn't. So it's important that all those things be provided.
Yes, for sure, for certain.
And the other thing I think we should talk about is educational. Department of Education also provides grants, Pell grants to students that want to go to college, and they are a good. Under the educational, they have a title. I forgot what title. It's either Title V or something like that in regards to HBCU schools.
Yes.
Historical Black schools, where they give money to the HBCU schools to make sure that children of color be able to have a college education and be educated and can move on. And I thought that was a significant plus for us, brown people. And it's going to be a terrible thing if the money is stopped, because the money will not go to HBCU schools. That he would probably just wipe out altogether. And unfortunately, for some parents that send their children to HBCU schools, it will be a complete negative because they can't afford it. And the school will provide, of course, as much as they can, but it's really hard for nowadays to send a child to college if you don't have a good job or if they're having scores high on their SAT scores and they can get money, but that money comes from grants. One of the public laws that they talk about, and this was from thegovernment.com, they talked about Congress in 2020 did a study on HBCU propelling agency relationship towards a new era of results for Student Act of the HBCU Partners Act. And one of it was, as many college and university across the country kept their doors closed to Afro-American applicants, historical Black colleges and universities played a central role in ensuring that African Americans could attain an excellent education. Today, HBCU continues to play a critical role in ensuring that Afro-Americans and those of all races, can access high-quality education. HBCU enrolls nearly 300,000 students, an estimated 7% of whom came from low-income background and 80% of whom are Afro-Americans. According to the National Association for Equal Opportunity in Higher Education, HBCUs make up just 3% of American institutions of higher education, but serve more than 50 of Afro-American college students. According to the Thurgood Marshall College Fund, approximately 9% of all Afro-American college students attended HBCU schools. In March of 2017, the report from the Education Trust concluded that HBCUs have higher completion rates for Afro-American students than other institutions serving similar students populations. That's significant.
Yes,
According
it
to
is.
40% of Afro-Americans, members of Congress, 40% of the Afro-Americans are members of Congress, 50% of Afro-American lawyers, and 80% of Afro-American judges are graduates of HBCUs. So
And that is
it's
something to be
important.
very proud of.
Yes, and it's important that higher education, Department of Education, okay, send money to these schools.
Yes.
You can see they're growing significantly and how important it is. So if this is defunded, what's going to happen to the low income kids?
Right, right.
You know,
for sure.
it's important.
Yes, because I know for my granddaughter, for Jayla, her and I, we had conversations about, about what's going on and everything. And at her school, a lot of the children are very, very concerned about that now.
Yes.
And this should not have to be something on a high school student's, that they should have to feel like, no, I don't know what I'm going to do. I want to be able to go to college.
Yes.
So I always tell her, I say, you just keep your focus on what you're doing because you're doing good.
Yeah.
And she said, but a lot of my friends, and I said, but the concern is tell your friends, stay focused, and try and gravitate to as much of the education that you can get, because if you get that, you'll be able to get in somebody's good school, so we have to, regardless of what's going on, we still got to stay focused and make sure that we're guiding them in a direction of keeping their grades at what's needed for them so that they can stay, at a higher academics.
That's right. That's right. And keeping the hope there.
That can kind of bring down their morale.
Yes.
Everything that's going on. And we don't want that. So like I said, I tell her all the time, stay focused, baby. You're doing good. Just don't let anything distract you, because she's at a level now where, she's looking at college. So,
yes.
so, and we want to keep her focused in doing just that.
That's
so
right.
Like I said, I praise God for it all, that he, continues to keep her at a higher level for school. But I don't want any of this to diminish her thoughts either.
Right.
So I want her to stay focused when it comes to her schoolwork.
Making sure that she keep the hope there and doing what she needs to do.
That's
because
right.
Eliminating federal role in higher education risks widening college access gaps, where lower income students won't have a pathway to college. So it's important that all aspects be looked at when they're talking about defunding Department of Education, transferring education to other departments. And like I said, if they transfer education to other departments, those departments don't have the expertise to do what it needs to do. They have to learn what's going on. And during that process, you have people that are stagnated, not knowing if they're going to go to school, not having the money, stress, all that kind of stuff. HBCU schools not being able to have the money they need to allow the students to come in. Although I know there will be a way, because we always make a way, but it's just devastating. And I think it's something that the government needs to take a look at.
They definitely need to reevaluate this whole thing. Yeah, it's important. It definitely is. Although nothing has been said or done yet, I mean, it has been said, but nothing has been done yet. I think people need to keep their ears open and, make your wishes known to your congressman. Make your wishes known that, this may not be what you want, or it may not be good for your state. I do know for a fact out west, them some poor states out there. And I know it's not good for them, because it's gonna be sad. Yeah. And as you said, don't be afraid to send a letter, because this is just gonna be something that's gonna be more impactful for us. within our states, to let our Congress people know that this is your thought on it. And if it goes to state,
Yes.
that you have a concern.
Yes.
And so this will just gear them to do the right things as well. You know, as I said, we can't look at this as a political thing. Oh, I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican. No, we got to do the right things. That the things that we know are the correct things to do for everybody.
Right.
So send your letters and don't be afraid to do that. Because all it can do is be helpful.
Right. And always remember that every state can set its own standards as to how they want the money to be advocated to different things in their own state. So a higher standard in one state could be the lowest acceptable tier in another. You know, every state will have their own standards. And that, I mean, if you know your history here, United States history, where we've been, okay, the 60s, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, we made a tremendous impact, especially when it came to education. And to go back there, and every state has its own standard, that means not every child is going to be treated equally.
That's right.
Not every school is going to have the most advanced books. Not every school is going to teach the child history that where we've been and where we need to go. And that will set us back tremendously when it comes to other countries. Other countries are already way ahead of us. They're way ahead of us in mathematics. They're way ahead of us in science and all of that. Who's going to be left behind after we're gone to be able to compete if we don't make sure that every standard in our school system in every state is the same? Because if it's not the same,
there are some states now that want to eliminate the Black History programs.
Yes.
And the Black History programs is a part of our American history.
That is correct.
So we need to be, you know, forceful when it comes to that as well.
Yes,
you know,
because that's like eliminating the Holocaust.
We got to speak up for everybody. This is America.
That's like eliminating the Holocaust.
And America makes up a pot of people, a melting pot of people. It's not just one specific type of people. It's a melting pot of all type of people.
Yes.
So we have to know this, and we have to be for everybody.
Yes. You can't. You don't know where you're going if you don't know your history.
Yeah.
In order to improve where you're going in life, you got to know where you've been.
That's right.
And that's something that a lot of people in this country want to erase. To erase history, how can we know where we're headed in the future? The future should be better than what it's been in our history. Okay, in the past, it should be better, not worse. So we should have learned from the past so that we can create a society where everybody is treated equally and is worthy, and we're looking at who they are as people, you know, and all of that. And to erase history, you might as well erase yourself. Because you came through it.
You can't.
You know, and it was better. It could be better, but it was better than where we were. And we could be even much better, and our children can be better, leading us into the next century.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. So with that being said, I think we have brought together tonight a lot of awareness, and that again is things that we always talk about, issues, and just making people aware of what's going on, because we have to keep our eyes open. We have to keep our ears, you know, to the things that are being talked about, because we cannot shut down. We have to know what's going on within our country. And it's not that, you know, you're picking sides or what have you. As I say, we're just trying to make sure that we're being right for the entire country. So make sure that you write your letters make sure that you reach out, because if you don't do this and you're just sitting back and taking it all in, you're just as bad as the next person.
Right.
Because we're never going to get anything accomplished until we do just that.
Yes. Yes. One of the things that, as I was looking up about defunding our Department of Education, one of the things that I read was from the government. And one of the things that it said was federal oversight plays a vital role in ensuring that all students, regardless of their backgrounds, have access to educational opportunities.
Yes.
Eliminating the department would strip away essential funding, weaken civil rights protection, and leave students with disabilities and low-income families without necessary support. Instead of eroding these protections, policymakers should focus on strengthening the Department of Education ability to support students, families, schools, and colleges nationwide.
Yes, wonderful.
Because this is our future.
Like I said, this has been awareness, putting information out there for everybody to hear. And we encourage you all to share this video. I can't say it enough. Share it, because when you share this video, other people will hear it too. It's a blessing for everybody. As we, my sister and I, have been blessed through the glory of God for everything that he does for us in order for us to have this space here. We share it with you guys and hope that this is a blessing for you all as well. So is there anything else that you would like to talk about? We are near to the end of our time, but if you have more, please feel free, Jay.
Yeah. The only thing I want to say is, and it's not in regards to this topic, but what I wanted to say is Cory Booker took the stage today in the Senate, and he told what needed to be said. And I am so proud of him coming from Jersey. Cory Booker is my man.
Yes.
Right on.
Yes. He's going to put it out there. And to God be the glory.
He stood that Senate floor since 7 p.m. last night. And when I was looking at 5 o'clock, he was still there. So I was so proud of him that he stood up and told it the way it was. So right on to Cory Booker. And I hope that other senators, the Democratic senators, will stand up and be the same, because we need that. We're in a world where everything is upside down and we don't know where we're headed or what's going to happen. So
that's right. And like I said, it doesn't even have to be a Democrat. If you're a Republican and you know in the back of your mind that this is not the right thing, you need to stand up and say something.
That's right. That's right. Because money isn't everything.
Not headed in the right direction.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so with that being said, like I said, I always leave you with something. And this is Psalms 25:5 from NIV. Guide me in your truth and teach me, for you are God, my Savior, and my hope is in you all day long. To God be the glory. So with that being said, I hope you all received this message of awareness. We appreciate you all, and we love you all, and have a blessed and wonderful night.
Thanks for tuning in. Bye, Ronnie.
Bye, Jack. Love you.
Love you too. Bye.